Hi everybody, my name is Viviani Nunes. I've never really been scared of anything, but if there was one thing to pick, it would have been stinging insects. When I was young, I was always terrified of getting stung by a wasp or a bee. When my brother was attacked by a wasp after provoking it, it only heightened my fear. But despite this fear, I still had a fascination for it. When I was in 5th grade, I was recommended The Nest by Ken Fogle. I enjoyed it, but it didn't create the spark for me like The Sting of the Wild did. The Sting of the Wild is by Justin O. Smith, and it is about this man's quest to get stung for science and rate every stinging insect on its pain. It was then that I started to think about how these would be about these insects. So this is when the spark was created and I began to learn all about these kings of sting. So the first thing to learn about these insects is to learn about their venom. I needed to learn about their venom and why they used it. What was it made of? So venom is specifically made for pain. There are many compounds in venom that are meant to heighten your pain receptors. This way they can defend their colonies and nests from getting attacked by predators. But it isn't always good for them to use venom because venom is often very risky. When a predator gets attacked by using venom, they will often swipe at the insect, usually killing it. So instead, venom isn't always used, and instead they use what is called warning threats. Warning threats are a way to send a less risky message. It's a way to say, if you mess with me, you'll regret it. It helps to give predators and other threats a warning from attacking their nests. Warning threats can consist of sound and smell, which do not depend on predator sight. For example, harvester ants, bullet ants, Australian bull ants, and leafcutter ants create a broad frequency squeak. Velvet ants also do the same thing. Sound is also used, and when hornets create their mandible snapping style, which is also called clicking, they loudly snap their jaws together to warn predators. Smell can also be used, as many ants and other wasps use smell as a way to deter predators. Bullet ants have compounds in their smell that smell like burnt garlic. Harvester ants also have a similar thing that smells like nail polish. So now that we know what these animals use warning threats for, we can learn about the compounds. So this is the chart of compounds for most insect venom. As you can see right here, you have your bee, wasp, hornet, and ant venom. So this is kind of a graph to explain if it's all, the color is what goes on the map. It's a little complicated, but so ant is green. If it has green on the map, that means it's an ant venom.
Just push the arrow button on the computer if it's not working.
You can have her. Okay. So many venoms are composed of water-soluble proteins, peptides, amino acids, fatty acids, sugars, salt, and other compounds. These all create pain in a way that will get predators away from the nest. So on this graph, you can see right here the effects of the venom. So the smaller the circle, that means the shorter time it lasts. And as you can see, bullet ant venom is very potent and lasts for about 300 minutes. The next thing we need to know about venom is the stinger and how it works. So the stinger is the original biological syringe. It is used to insert venom underneath the skin. It was evolved from an oviposture, which is a way to lay eggs for insects. Because of this evolutionary trait, males can never sting. They don't have stingers. So because they don't have stingers, they develop other ways to defend themselves, and such as biting and what I call pseudo stings. So pseudo stings is when a male insect uses hardened genitals to stab at the predator. Because of our natural instincts, we automatically release this predator, and it will let the insect go without harming us, even though pain is not involved. So stingers have been adapted so that venom delivery was almost instant. So this is a honeybee stinger. It's made of a venom sac, some muscles, a venom pump, and then a serrated digging blade. These are the main parts of almost every stinger. So the venom sac is where they store all the venom. Then it is used, the muscles and the pumps pump it down through the stinger and where it's released at the end. And because insects are so tiny, they need a way to make digging the stinger into the body easier. So they have this, which is a drilling mechanism. Basically, it's constantly moving because of the muscles, and it digs into the skin, so venom delivery is almost instant. So honeybees, because they want to make their sting as effective as possible, they will always lose their stinger as soon as they sting. So they die after they sting. The next thing to learn about insects is the pain scale and why it was created. So this is the man who created the pain scale, and that giant ant on his nose is Paraponera clavata, which is the bull ant, the most painful insect on the scale. So, wilderness YouTuber Coyote Peterson was also attempting to get stung by each of the runs on the scale, and when he interviewed Mr. Schmidt on the inspiration for his scale. And this is the transcript of his interview. Now, you've been stung by harvester ants before. Exactly, and in fact, just like what you said, the harvester ant is what got the sting pain scale going in the first place. Now, I've been stung by honeybees, yellowjackets, paper wasps. Yeah, the normal things in your backyard. Yeah, the garden variety of stuff you get bitten by, various beetles and things. I went down to Georgia, which has the easternmost extension of harvester ants, and I got stung by one and went, whoa, didn't see that coming, right? This is different, I thought I knew everything there was about stinging insects. I was this dumb little kid. Yeah. I said, hey, wait a minute, there's something different going on here, and that's what got me doing the comparative. Is this unique to harvester ants, or is there others that are like that? Turns out the answer is, now that we know, it's unique. So pain is a very hard thing to measure. It's easy to identify, but knowing what pain is medically is kind of complicated. In biological terms, pain is simply the body's warning system that damage has occurred, is occurring, or is about to occur. This is what he said in his book to explain pain. So Mr. Schmidt got stung for science, and he learns that stings are meant for pain, and that social stings from insects hurt more than solitary stings. So this means bugs that live in colonies like ants and bees and wasps usually had more painful stings than solitary insects which lived by themselves. He found that this was because that the social insects had more to fight for. They had their young, they had their whole brood, they had their nest, whereas solitary insects, if they get attacked, they can just leave. And then he also learned that every single sting is unique. No insect sting feels the same as another. This is each of his descriptions for every sting that some of these insects had. Some of the more interesting ones are one from the honey wasp. Spicy blistering. A cotton swab dipped in habanero sauce has been pushed up your nose. Another one was the unstable paper wasp. Like a dinner guest who stays much too long, the pan drones on. A hot Dutch oven lands on your hand and you can't get it off. So now that we know the purpose of Venom and why he created the scale, we can talk about the stings, the insects that create this pain. So these are what I call the stings of Iowa. These are the common stings and insects that you will get in Iowa. You've probably seen a couple of these around your garden or landing on you sometimes. So paper wasps are ranked a 1.5 on the scale. Their sting is described as burning, throbbing, and lonely. A single drop of superheated frying oil has landed on your arm. They are the wasps that create the paper nests in the corner of porches and public buildings, hence their name. Honeybees are ranked a 2 on the scale, and their sting is described as burning, corrosive, but you can handle it. A flaming match head lands on your arm and is quenched first with lye and then sulfuric acid. These are farmed for honey and often seen in your garden. Sweat bees are ranked a 1 on the scale and are the little bees that land on your body when you come back from mowing or just sitting on your porch deck. Their description is light and ephemeral, almost fruity. A tiny spark has singed a single hair on your arm. Bumblebees are ranked a 2 on the scale, and their sting is described as sharp with a flare of heat. Colorful flames. Fireworks land on your arm. They are the large hairy bees that you'll see floating around your garden. They nest in the ground and in smaller colonies. Then we have the mud daubers, which create the mud nests up on the ceilings of public places. They are ranked a 1 on the scale, and their sting is described as sharp with a flare of heat. Jalapeno cheese when you were expecting a Havarti, which is another type of cheese. Then we have the cicada killer, which is ranked a 1.5 on the scale, and its pain is described as pain at first sight, like a poison oak. The more you rub, the worse it gets. This bug is what most people mistake for the murder hornet, so just keep that in mind. That is commonly found in Iowa, yet most people mistake it for the murder hornet. It's way smaller than the murder hornet. The Yellowjacket is ranked a 2 on the scale, and its pain is described like hot and smoky, almost irreverent. Imagine W.C. Fields extinguishing his cigar on your arm. This is the cause of most allergic reactions in Iowa, and they can fly about 7 miles per hour. So these are the bugs I call the kings of sting. These are the top 5 most painful stings in the world. So at number 5, we have the harvester ants. There are 3 different species that all tie for 5th place, and they're all rated 3. We have the Florida harvester ants, the Maricopa harvester ant, and the Argentine harvester ants. They all live in large colonies, and the pain lasts for a longer period of time for each of these, up to 12 hours. Number 4, we have the velvet ant, a super tiny ground wasp. This pain is described as explosive, long-lasting. You sound insane as you scream. Hot oil from the deep fryer spill over your entire hand. This is a very painful sting, and most children suffer from this because, they see this tiny little red ant running along the ground, and they have to pick it up. And so a lot of children suffer from this. They are found in the desert and are solitary insects. The males have wings and the females do not. They are very flexible, and their stinger is half the length of their body, and not to mention the very tough exoskeleton that they have. Number 3 on the scale is the tarantula hawk. This is found in North America and is ranked a 4 on the scale. It's described as blinding, fierce, shockingly electric. A running hairdryer has just been dropped into your bubble bath. This is the largest wasp species in the world. It hunts for tarantulas to feed its young, hence the name. They are solitary and very colorful, and similar to the velvet ant, they also use bright colors to warn predators what they were. They walk in a jerking motion just for extra identification. The sting will send even humans into a state of paralysis that lasts about 5 minutes. The second most painful sting on the scale is the warrior wasp of war. It is described as torture. You are chained in the flow of an active volcano. Why did I start this list? This vespid wasp species is extremely fast and can sting multiple times. You don't want to get the whole colony after you. Even though the stings can be lethal, humans never really get stung because of the secludedness of these nests. They often nest up high and away from human civilization. When an intruder nears the nest, the wasp will start to beat their wings and sing. This is where they get their name because the beating of the wings often sounds like warriors marching. And the very top of the scale, we have the bullet ant, a 4.0 plus on the scale, and it is extremely painful. It feels like pure, intense, brilliant pain, like walking over flaming charcoal with a 3-inch nail embedded in your heel. Some describe the pain to feel like a bullet. This 1.5 inch ant lives in colonies in South America. If you were to put your ear next to the colony, you would hear squeaking noises, as this is their warning defense. If you were to ignore the warning threat, then they would spill out of the hive and start swarming your legs, trying to find your weakest spot until you run away. If you ever encounter one far away from the nest, it's usually docile. If you provoke it, it will sting. If you ever see a bullet ant in the wild, it's best to leave it alone. So insects can be very painful and dangerous if you get stung. So here are a few ways to help take care of a sting. So first thing to do is identify what you're stung by. If you ever have an allergic reaction, this will be extremely helpful. Then you need to get to a very safe place because you do not want to try and help the sting if you're going to continue being stung. Then you'll need to check for any symptoms of an allergic reaction, and if there's an extreme allergic reaction, you need to get medical help. So if it was a bee that stung you, you'll need to remove the stinger as soon as possible. Bees lose their stinger to make their venom continue pumping, even though they left the sting. Then you'll need, once you remove the stinger with a piece of gauze or a card or a fingernail, you'll need to wash the area around the sting with soap. Then apply some ice or an ice pack to stop swelling. If a wasp stings you, need to get away as fast as possible. Wasps will continue stinging you even if you've already gone away far enough. Then you need to wash the area around the sting with soap and apply ice and an ice pack. So some things to note is that if it's itching, cortisone cream can help reduce that. And then you can stay away from nests to prevent stings, and you need to get medical help if you ever see signs of an allergic reaction from an insect. So maybe now that I've researched this, I have less fear about stinging insects. I now know how to take care of myself and anyone else who gets a sting, and my fear is not as big as it was before. I hope this is the same case for you, and that if you ever encounter an insect in the wild, you'll know what to do with it. Are there any questions?
I've heard of fire ants. Would those fit in your?
Yeah, they do. They are ranked a 1 on the scale, and they're not considered painful by themselves, but if it's a whole colony, then it's pretty painful.
Okay, awesome. And is there any chemical compound, you had that one slide up, that is common to every insect, or do they all have something different that is not transferred to?
I will.
Social distancing makes it a little hard to read those. Yeah, that one.
So yeah, if it has all 4 colors on the scale, that means that most insects have that in their venom.
Okay.
And so you can see some of these are unique to only one species, like bees have melatonin, apimin, and MCD peptide, and antiformic acid, and piperidine alkaloids. Then you have hornet kinin and wasp kinin, which is unique to only that species. Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you for listening.
And what grade did you just come out of?
I just finished 7th grade.
7th.
I have my bibliography on